The Curious Jack, based on the fairy tale by Józef Ignacy Kraszewski, The Fern Flower. Once upon a time, in a small village at the edge of the woods, there lived a very brave young man. Since he always strived to learn about various unusual things, he was known as Curious Jack. He also liked wandering through the forest a lot.
Once, all people were sitting around the bonfire. The oldest woman in the village told them the story of the fern flower.
The magical fern flower blooms once a year on the St. John's night and disappears when dawn comes. It possesses the power to fulfill wishes, she said. Whoever finds this flower will have all of his wishes granted and be blessed with great wealth. But he will not be allowed to share his wealth with others, otherwise he will lose everything.
Jack listened to the story very attentively.
Come hell or high water, I will find the flower,
he promised himself.
It doesn't matter that the fern flower blooms only once a year. If I don't find the flower, I will keep looking for it year after year,
he thought.
When the St. John's night finally arrived, Jack got dressed in his best clothes and went into the forest to seek out the magic flower.
The trees appeared to be much taller than usual. They were stretching out their branches every time he tried to get around them.
The bushes were growing thicker when he was pushing his way on.
He was going along the barely visible pathway, which was getting all darker and scarier. The blue, red, yellow and green eyes were gazing at him out of the thicket from the darkness. Jack was a little bit scared, but he plucked up his courage and kept going on.
He was on the edge of his endurance when he caught a sight of tiny radiant flower with 5 golden petals and something like an eye in its center. He froze his eyes wide with surprise.
Jack quickly reached out and was about to pick it up. When the dawn broke, the roosters in the village crowed and the flower disappeared.
He was so tired that he fell asleep at once. His mother found him all but exhausted and brought home.
a year later.
"Don't go to the forest, my son,"
Jack's mother said.
"It's very dangerous. A savage beast will attack you, or you will get lost."
Despite his mother's warning, Jack headed for the forest in the search for the flower. That time there were huge slippery stones on his way. He stamped his feet on them several times.
There were thick ferns, so much taller than the young boy. Jack was making his way, hacking the large leaves in front of him.
He stumbled on every stick, was stung by nettles and pricked by thorns.
Suddenly, a large bog appeared in front of him.
Jack continued his search after all, wandering around the bog, twisting right and left, stepping over flimsy poles and hopping from hammock to hammock.
He found a flower, but alas, he didn't manage to pick it up. The roosters in the village crowd and the flower disappeared.
Bad luck, wet and muddy as he was, Jack came back empty-handed.
Another year later.
The St. John's night came again and Jack set off to the forest. That time the forest looked normal, just like it did in the daytime.
Soon Jack caught a sight of his dream flower in the ferns at the end of the path. The flower flickered and glowed against the darkness of the night.
Jack leaned forward and finally picked it up. As he was putting the flower inside his jacket, he heard a quiet voice saying to him,
Never share your happiness with another soul.
The flower burned his fingers, but Jack was over the moon.
When he reached the edge of the forest, he saw a carriage with white horses waiting to take him to the palace in the middle of a large kingdom.
There were many servants inside the palace. Jack was happy. He had everything he needed at hand.
The years passed. Strangely enough, Jack was getting bored more and more.
One day he decided to take the carriage and visit his old village because he missed his mother very much.
But his mother didn't recognize him.
My son would not keep such wealth and happiness for himself. He would share it with his friends and family,
she said. First, Jack wanted to give some money to his mother, but the fern flower had already taken roots in his heart, making it hard and selfish. He ordered his coachman to take him back to his palace instead.
He indulged in excessive life again, but no matter what he did, he could never forget the look of sadness on his mother's face.
After years, longing for his family became unbearable. Jack arrived back at his old house, but nobody came out to greet him.
It was an old beggar passing by the house who came up to him.
Nobody lives in that cottage anymore, he said. Your parents and siblings all died of disease and hunger.
Jack couldn't fight back tears. His face crumpled in despair and he broke into heart-rending sobs.
I wish I were dead,
he shouted desperately. No sooner had he said these words than the wind started howling terribly. Thunder rumbled and a bolt of lightning ripped the sky in half.
Suddenly, the ground opened up beneath his feet and Jack vanished into the darkness below. The mythical fern flower was still rooted in his cold heart.
The young boy's final wish was fulfilled.
Since then, many brave boys have been looking for the fern flower with the hope to find their luck, but nobody has come across it so far.
Nowadays, young people celebrate the St. John's night by singing and dancing until midnight, jumping over bonfires, setting afloat wreaths of white flowers on the rivers and lakes.
Would you like to be in Jack's shoes?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't change places with him for all the world. What good is for me not to have family or friends around to share my happiness?